This video discusses the theology represented by line 4 of verse 2 of God of grace and God of glory. That line has different words depending on which hymnal you use. Incidentally, hymns also have different numbers depending on the hymnal you use. I have a physical copy of the AME African Methodist Episcopal hymn book. I use hymnary.org for other versions. This hymn is number 62 in the AME hymn book that I have. So back to the lyrics. In the AME hymn book, the line reads, "Free our hearts to work and praise." According to hymnary.org, the Lutheran service book, Our Great Redeemer's Praise, the Chalice hymnal, and a bunch of others have the line as, "Free our hearts to faith and praise." What difference do you notice? Free our hearts to work and praise, free our hearts to faith and praise. So when I looked at the 46 hymnals in hymnary.org, 13, or about 28% of them, had the line as work and praise. Then 33, or about 72%, had the line as faith and praise. What can this tell us about the relative importance placed on faith and works in Christian traditions that use this hymn? To answer that would take quite a bit of research, and it would make for a very long video, so today let's focus on the words work and faith and what we know about Christianity in general. In general, within Christianity, we know that there is a discussion, even conflict, over the role of faith and works. Which comes first? Which is more important to emphasize? Some traditions have James 2:14-18, the faith without works is dead passage, as the guiding principle. Others put more focus on Romans 10:9, believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. The churches that put the focus on James tend to define faith as shown by works. The churches that focus on the Romans passage tend to think of faith as more, maybe not emotional or intellectual, spiritual, amorphous, an experience that's more challenging to explain. We can see this difference of perspective in the difference in the hymn lyrics. So again, to fully map out any possible correlations between doctrine and which version of the hymn is used would take more time than I currently have, but I think the question is still worth discussing. So my question for you, my call to action if you will, is for you to think about the doctrine taught in your church. Even if the faith versus works discussion isn't often directly addressed, what can you learn about the position your church tradition takes based on other things? For example, if you were to hear that someone in your church community has lost their job, what is the first response that you would expect? Would you expect that after the announcement was made, a prayer would immediately follow and then the service would move on? Would you expect the announcement to be a call to donate money to help this person, and then the service moves on without a specific prayer? Something else? Based on how your church interacts with and talks about physical needs, what can you conclude about what they value most? An amorphous faith or a faith shown by works? If your church uses this hymn, how does the doctrine reflect, or not, this particular line? Free our hearts to work, faith, and praise. If your church doesn't use hymns, which version of this hymn do you think would best fit into your church's doctrine? That's all for this video. Remember, asking questions is the way to build a strong faith. Until next time, keep asking.